With the recent announcement that the final Warhammer 2 Lord Pack will be Beastmen vs Lizardmen, starring Taurox the Brass Bull and our favourite Skink assassin Oxyotl, the speculation has moved to who might be joining them as the FLC Lord. There are a number of options representing a number of races that stand out to me as the most likely, so in today's video I'm going to present my top 5 picks for the FLC Lord coming alongside the Silence and the Fury. Starting off at number 5, we have Ushoran, a former Prince of Lamia and the first of the Strigoi bloodline of the vampires. His kingdom, which was centred in Morrcain, within the Valley of Strigoi, was a beacon of prosperity in a harsh world, and though Ushoran needed to drink human blood to satiate his hunger, he limited his feeding to criminals and his enemies. The kingdom of Strigoi was destroyed long ago by a coalition of vampiric bloodlines, led by his sister Neferada, and by a great greenskin War. And though Ushoran was struck down in battle by a magical bolt from an orc shaman, it is rumoured that his followers hid his body away, so he may one day seek his revenge. I think Ushoran would make an excellent FLC candidate. He is a relatively well-known character with an interesting rivalry with other vampire factions. He could provide a different playstyle, being a Strigoi vampire, and if a few simple reskins of Empire soldiers were added to represent his followers, we could get a unique Vampire Counts campaign. The Vampire Counts still don't have a Vortex start, and I feel that Ushoran's lore is flexible enough to allow him to start anywhere in the Southlands, or possibly further afield. With the addition of the Silver Pinnacle to the map not so long ago, many were thinking we might receive Neferata with this final Lord Pack. I think that's unlikely now, as she is too important a character to be added as an FLC. She deserves to be in her own Lord Pack in Game 3, though who her adversary would be is anyone's guess. Coming in at number 4, representing one of my favourite races, we have the mysterious master brewer, Josef Bugman. Perhaps the most famous and renowned of brewers, with his seal considered a sign of superior quality ale. Josef Bugman would make for a great FLC Lord. Josef once managed a stout brewhouse in the foothills of the Grey Mountains, a business he had inherited from his relatives, but one which he had made a success. That was ruined one terrible day when the brewery was raided by the goblin warlord Git Guzzler, who stole the brewery's stocks of ale and murdered or abducted many of Josef's people. Since that time, he has left the confines of the brewery, its operation now in the hands of his trusted kin, to find and claim revenge on the goblin warlord. His quest has taken him across the old world, and he has partaken in many battles with goblin tribes, but his search continues to this day. As Josef is not really tied to a specific location, instead constantly on the move in the hunt for Git Guzzler, he could be represented as a horde faction, which would open up the possible starting locations immensely. If added as a traditional faction, it would not be too far-fetched though to find him in the Southlands, where we currently have the Dwarf Prospectors. This would mean he could easily appear on the Vortex campaign, finally giving Dwarf players another map to enjoy with their favourite race. Of the more popular dwarfs that remain, Josef I think is the best suited to an FLC. Thorek deserves a full-blown Lord Pack with a runic theme, where he is joined by runic guardians and rune golems and perhaps even the Shard Dragon. Malachi should also get his own DLC, with the Goblin Hewer, Morrsleib and the Spirit of Grugni. Perhaps the only other Lord option would be Grim Burlixon, but he doesn't have the lore to explain his appearance outside of the World's Edge Mountains. The number 3 spot goes to a race already in the Lord Pack, the Beastmen, represented by Ghorros Warhoof. The father of 1,000 young, for centuries Ghorros has led the Brayherds of the Beastmen to war. Never shy to boast of his accomplishments, true or imagined, he claims to have sired the entire Centaur race, saying that the whole clan can be traced back through his lineage. Each of his acolytes is devoted completely to him, ready to lay down their lives in service to their leader. His force of will is so strong that all manner of beasts pledge allegiance to his cause. Should he come to the game, he would likely bring numerous buffs to his centaur children, making for a more effective mobile playstyle. The case for an FLC Beastmen Lord comes from two things. Firstly, this is likely to be the last content that the Beastmen receive. While the focus of Game 3 is Chaos, I feel that the bulk of the DLC will be for the Chaos Demons, with the odd FLC Lord for the Warriors of Chaos, Norska, and Beastmen, with the Cloven ones being at the bottom of that list. Secondly, when we received the Wood Elves update, we got a Wood Elf FLC Lord in Dryker, and it makes sense for this Lord pack and FLC to follow that example. In second place, we have one of the most popular races in the game, represented by the one and only Boris Todbringer. The Grand Duke of Middenheim is a great warrior and statesman who has protected the good people of Middenland from numerous threats, including several incursions from Beastmen Brayherds spilling forth from the Drakenwald forest. Perhaps his greatest rivalry is with the Beast Lord Khazrak One-Eye, so named due to Boris's blade, where he took the eye of the beast in one fateful encounter, only to lose one of his own when the two met in battle the following year. Boris's relations have at times been strained with the Emperor Karl Franz, and it can open up an opportunity for some interesting rivalry within the Empire. His being a follower of Ulrich could also provide some interesting conflict with Volkmar and the cult of Sigmar, which the Grand Theogenist represents. Boris already partially exists in the game, being available in multiplayer, but not playable on the campaign, so part of the work is already complete. He would need one or two custom units, which is not beyond the realm of possibility if they are reskins, and perhaps a small mechanic to help set him apart from the other Empire legendary lords. Certainly not an excessive amount of work. So, who made first place? Well, once again it's a character from the Beastmen, the son of Morrsleib, Moonclaw. Moonclaw entered the world when the Dark Moon Morrsleib was at its fullest, on the night known in the Empire as Geheimnisnacht, or Winter's Eve. He was not sired by mortals, but instead fell from Morrsleib's pale belly. Since that day, he has roamed the Old World, and any beastmen that he encounters fall to their knees in reverence. His dark powers are forever tied to the Dark Moon cycle, with these abilities at their strongest when the moon is full. Moonclaw leads a great Brayherd on his quest to destroy the ancient waystones of the Old World, which stem the flow of dark power into the realm of men, and prevent it from overwhelming civilization. Why Moonclaw over Ghorros, you might say? Well, to me Moonclaw is the more interesting of the two, and has the most potential for a unique mechanic which could tie into the Dark Moon events. This is of course personal, and they could easily be switched with one another if you so wished. And there we have my top 5 picks for the next FLC Lord, but I can't help but feel with this being the last content for Warhammer 2, that Creative Assembly might give us not one, but 2 FLC Lords to see the game off in style. This may be wishful thinking, and there will be no great fanfare for the last Lord pack, but if Creative Assembly have opted to make this Lord pack and patch a special one, who might be the 2 FLC Lords? There would be a case to be made that it could end up being a Vampire Count and a Dwarf, as these are the last 2 core races from Game 1 which don't have a presence on the Vortex campaign. This would effectively wrap everything up in a nice bow in preparation for Game 3. The other possible option is that we will get a Beastman FLC Lord to mimic the FLC provided with the Twisted in the Twilight, where we receive Dryker for free. To match up against them, we could well get Boris Todbringer. To me, this is the perfect time to bring Toddy into the game, and work in some rivalry between him and Khazrak. Creative Assembly has previously mentioned that Toddy would be coming to the game, and he doesn't make as much sense in Game 3, as the Empire and the Old World is not really the focus. So there we have my crazy nutso theory that we may get more than one standard FLC in this content release for Warhammer 2. What are your thoughts on the FLC Lord? Could you imagine us getting more than one? If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like or comment, as the engagement will help me grow the channel, so I can torture more people with my content. As always, I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons, thanks to Hot Apple Pie, Cody Bonds, Alexander, and Solarith Magnetar. I'm Grey Tiger, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.